Good morning, welcome. We're glad you're here. I'm Batman.
I'm Ajay.
I'm Tony.
I'm Brew.
This morning we'll be covering how current technology affects power dynamics. So, what technology comes to your mind first as we consider the places of power?
Well, technology has impacted the world socially, politically, and impacted the field of science greatly. Personally, I think the greatest impact is socially through these new medias which give everybody access to information all over the world, as well as force us to be attention-driven, gathering our money and time at an exponential level. What do you think about this, Brew?
Absolutely, and as these platforms grow in size and they integrate further and further into everyday life, a big component of what was traditionally the power of different social structures within society is now relegated to these platforms themselves. By controlling the flow of information, they get this newfound ability to have a founded strength in the narrative to kind of guide public opinion into the places that they would like. And this is a completely new frontier of power, which is relatively unchecked compared to how other parts of society interact at large. What are some other places you see this influence in Batman?
I like that you bring up this because I often think of the technologies more so than the places that they affect. And so as I consider what I'm researching right now, how LLMs and robots will converge with each other to take some of our human specific tasks, this is definitely going to affect some industries and their thirst for power. I'm wondering what you might think, Tony, of some specific technology.
So did you guys hear about the recent news that happened in Britain? The government reduced to share all their social networks and asked Apple to lower their security so that they can access their information. So I think it might be a risk of security of their personal details. So what do you think about this, Ajay?
Power dynamics are still being restricted by government, but there's really no transparency on how much these global tech companies access or give transparency to these government and political organizations. That is a risk in a certain sense, because the true power, which is from elected leaders, are now in the hands of these tech giant CEOs, and they're less governed by these laws. So this can actually impact the future as the power is shifting from a government to these corporations, multinational corporations. How do you think this would impact the scientific community, Brew?
So moving on to the science side of things, of course, a great amount of progress is being made with greater international collaboration and so on, especially with these technologies which bridge like the once gigantic distance barriers. Now people can interact with people pretty much live 24 hours across the world. This means greater collaboration. This means simply just all of these like separate webs of people are now combining into this like one gigantic like almost global think tank if you can think of it that way. But of course this is fantastic because greater collaboration, but on the other hand there's also the question of, with newer technologies such as LLMs now popping out, what happens to IP law and things like that. What if you have different properties on the internet or different advancements that you make? How are these going to be shared around the world, and what impact does that like entire dynamic bring? That's also just a completely different aspect. Another thing I might think about when I think about this topic is in healthcare. What do you think about that, Edmund?
Well, healthcare certainly will be affected by this, but we've explored some really good points on how these affect power dynamics, because really it comes down the chain and affects each one of us. So we want to thank you guys for joining us this morning. Look forward to next time.